Alright, back here on what is today? I believe it's Tuesday, and we're working on our 74 Bronco. We got it all ready to go. Wiped it down, we got everything in here. I kind of need to touch this up a little bit with some sandpaper and scotch-brite pad, just to kind of knock that down before we spray a bed liner on it. I did polish this fender here a little bit. You got a little chunk of something we're gonna have to dig out, so I'll play around with that later. But what I'm trying to do is just get this buffed out, the 2 quarters on the inside the window frame and then inside the engine compartment, at least the top of the wheel wells a little bit, and then get this back to Phil by the end of the week so that he could throw it back on the chassis, and then I can take off for a few days, and then we'll come back and do the doors and fenders and stuff. But for now, we're gonna polish the rocker, probably just this edge right here, from here down. I don't want to do it underneath here, probably just like right in here on the door jamb, and then the rocker, and then the quarter itself, same thing, will kind of stay off the bottom of here. I like to leave a little extra clear on there just for road debris and whatnot, depending on what size tires he's running, but I'm sure he's going to run something kind of full drive-ish, probably an AT or something. So I'm going to start with 1000 grit and knock down that orange peel. I just got 3 M's, 1000 grit here, then we'll switch over to 15, 2, and then we'll go out to 3000. So that's kind of the plan. We'll hit it with a wool pad and 3M extra cut, so we'll see if we can hopefully get the side of this thing a hell of a lot smoother by the time to go home today.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn ain't that great. I don't wanna go to work, cause my boss is a jerk, and I'm not even that.
Alright, that's 1000. We knocked down all the orange peel, and then we went back over it with 1500. Careful of that, because that'll fall forward. But wet sand the top edge of our rocker to this bottom corner. Kind of hit this a little bit, it was a little dry. I'm not going to mess in here because I can't get my buffer down in any of these corners very well, plus it looks pretty good and it gets a rubber seal and some stuff there anyway. This is what I'm mostly worried about. So this has all been 1000, and then went back over it with 1500. Had a little sagger here I'm trying to work out, and then I kind of wipe it down really good in between grits of sandpaper. That way that little bit of clear that's like powdered out like this is just dried. It doesn't clog up my sandpaper, so it just makes the paper last a little bit longer and looks a little cleaner, and you can get a little bit better visual of what I got going on. So now we're off to 2000, and then we'll hit that with 3, and then we'll switch over to start buffing.
I don't feel alive, and there's nothing that makes me happy. Hold my beer for a minute. I'm about to quit my job, cash in for a ticket. I'm going on a trip and I don't plan to visit. I'm gonna stay there till I feel like I'm winning.
Alright, so we got that all wet sanded out with 1000, 2000, 1015. Any runs we hit with a little 600 on a hard block. We had a little bit of runs, so we knocked that down. 1000, all that out. Went back over the whole thing with 1000, knocked our orange peel down. Finished the orange peel off with 1500. I tried to get most of it out with 1000, but every once in a while you'll see like little spots in that 15. I'll knock that down. And then at 2000, I'm basically just taking my 1500 grit scratches out. And the compound says 1200, but it really likes 2000. And then just to make a little bit easier, because I don't really like polishing that much, and when I go out to 3000, I feel that it actually starts to kind of polish the metal a little bit, or the paint a little bit. You can actually see there's like a little bit of a pretty flat sheen in it. Plus you can kind of get down and look and see what if there's any like dirt chunks or anything in there, and you come back and wet sand that out. So now I've completely wiped this down. I'm gonna wipe it down with probably a blue paper towel, just kind of knock down some of this, like I think my white like Costco towel. It's just a regular, just with regular terry cloth. It kind of leaves a little bit of debris behind. I need to go get a couple more of these. I'm running out of those. But so right now I'm gonna grab my buffer, still using the cordless Milwaukee, and I'm using the regular wool pad, and I'm going to hit that with the wool pad. If I think it's cutting super fast, or I'll switch over to probably like a white foam pad or like this yellow foam pad, but I think I'm going to wool pad it out as much as I can. Step to this pad, polish it out, still using the 86060 or 36060. This is their extra cut step 1 compound, and then I'll probably switch over to a white foam pad. So I actually don't know which one's, see, neither one of these are 3M, so I'm not sure which one's more coarse. And then I'll finish off with a black foam pad with, still using this right here, this 060. So I'll step it all the way out, 3 different steps. So yeah, I wet sanded it 4 times and I'll polish it with 1 compound 3 times and then a stroll mark it. So when we're done, we wet sanded this 4 different times and polished it 4 different times. And that's just to get it out the door. It'll come back and we'll polish it again, but that's to get it out the door so the next guy can start working on it and start getting it together. So running out of time today, so I'm gonna go ahead and get some compound, the buffer, and start polishing the side of this turd.
And we all got dreams, we all want things, but what you gonna do for it? How you gonna move for it? What you gonna be? And do you believe you can do anything? But what you gonna do for it? How you gonna move for it? What you gonna be?
Alright, so got that. My battery's about to die. We got that all. Oh, my lens is all. I'm just not doing good, are we? This is all looks like it's got overspray on it, so I'll have to clean that in. It's got a UV thing on it. But anyway, we're done with this side. Anyway, for now, that was only 2 polishes. I did a wool pad and then this yellow foam pad. I'll probably wait and do the black pad when I do both sides and kind of do it like a final polish on it. But all in all, it looked out pretty good. Knocked all the orange peel and stuff down and looking pretty good. We'll have a gas cap here and a light here, and then obviously the door and stuff on it, but it looks pretty good. I think it's coming out all right. So that'll kind of wrap that up for the day, and then I think tomorrow we'll wet sand the passenger side, and we gotta do this windshield frame and probably top edge of that wheel well. I did do the top edge of this one here, but I found a little chunk of junk in it, so I'm gonna have to dig that out, and kind of wish this firewall would turn out a little bit smoother. But I think once you get the brake booster in here, you get the wiring harness, you get the column, all the throttle mechanism and stuff, and then you get the wires coming out of there with the headers and the motor sitting right here. I might go back over this, got a little light here, but as we roll this hinge forward, it's kind of tearing up the paint. So unfortunately, I gotta wait to fill the dash, and then we'll roll this thing forward. There's a seal that sits down inside there, and then these holes right there, the dash bolts in from this way. So I think what we'll do is we'll do the dash next, give him the dash, go ahead and let him put the body and stuff on the frame, and then we'll bring it back and I'll just paint from here to here and then redo this edge before we put the hood and fenders on. So anyway, I'm gonna call it a wrap for today. I'll be back on here tomorrow. See you guys tomorrow when we're playing around with the other side of this Bronco tub. Back here in the morning. It's like Wednesday, I think. I don't know. I'm really tired. I didn't sleep too well last night. But we're back on the Bronco. We got the passenger side polished last night or yesterday. Got the top of here. We had to run up here. I polished out, and then we kind of was working the top of that fender over. I think I'm gonna end up painting from here up because we got to do this hinge, and I got kind of a weird dry spot there. So we'll probably just polish the face of this a little bit and then do the top of this wheel well, kind of the front of it here a little bit, and just kind of make the top of those look good. And then the jam, this part of the jam, the rocker, and then this quarter, at least is the plan for today. And then I can finish prepping up the inside here. I think we were talking about we were using some seam sealer, portable seam sealer in here to do the bottom to try to get that to kind of flow out, and then up around the tops we use just regular seam sealer. We'll scuff that down, and hopefully tomorrow, fingers crossed, we could, or even Friday, we could bed line the inside of this. I also need to like flip it up in the air. I'll jack it up, turn it around, and we'll come back and touch up some of this stuff where we changed our mind or welded stuff, or they didn't tell me that it needed to be welded. So fix that, and then this is kind of why I do the paint and then the bed liner, because if you do the bed liner over the paint, sometimes you have a little bit of an edge here. Even though I try to keep my bed liner edges kind of thin, just because I don't like the look of a great big, like big fat edge, you know, especially on these that are, if it's in a truck bed, you're going to use it. I understand that for protection, but this is just to kind of knock some of the tinginess down and make it look nice. So we're going more for looks than, you know, overall functionality. But when you tape the bed liner, there's an edge, and it's very, very hard to get a nice clean line because now you got paint going up over the edge of your bed liner versus a smooth paint, and then your bed liner just kind of like stops and then rolls off, you know, into the bed liner. So that's kind of why I do that here, just to try to make this edge here. We come up to this edge with our bed liner just to make it look a little bit cleaner, I think. And then I also don't pile a great big edge here. I don't like seeing, if you took it to one of those Linex guys, there'd probably be a 3/16 to 1/4 inch line of just straight bed liner. That's kind of why I'll hammer the bottom pretty thick. The sides I don't get too carried away, and then the up here I'll do real light. And then kind of the same thing on the bottom. We don't really put a lot of bed liner on there. I think this thing's got 5 quarts, so a gallon and a little over a gallon, with some reducer in it just to kind of like help it flow out a little bit smoother, that it doesn't collect a lot of dirt. Sometimes when they're great big chunks, you get dirt and stuff in there. So I reduce it down a little bit. Between the two, basically, I totally forgot where I was going with that. Anyway, bed liner underneath. Try not to get a lot of build on the edges. I don't know. Anyway, I'm gonna start wet sand this 1015 2 3, and then start our polishing.
Yeah, this is my life, my strife, my right to fight, to die on. And this is my game to play, to claim a brand new name. Oh, and I ain't gonna lie to you, I'm a bit nervous that I might screw everything up.
All right, I got that all 3,000 gridded out. So that was actually hit this down in here with some 800, just to kind of try to knock that orange peel down a little bit faster, rather than just straight 1,000. Sometimes I'll do that just to kind of try to speed up, because I'm only in this thing about probably 2.5 to 3 hours wet sanding this with starting with 8,015 2, and then come back over with our Trizact 3,000. I like that pad because it kind of like regular sandpaper, but this is almost like foamy. I wouldn't try to cut something super flat, like try to block it with something foamy like that. I think that the little cushion might create waves versus like a hard block. But anyway, I got that pretty well polished or wet sanded out. Top of the jam, front of the rocker, and then all up in here, and then top of here, and then all down through our taillight pocket. So I had a little bit of a saggy right there, but I got it out, hit it at 6, then 8, and then went all the way out to that 3,000 there too. So 3,000 nice, because if you come over this edge a little bit, you don't have to worry about burning that edge as much as you would with like something more aggressive like 1,000. So anyway, I'm going to grab my wool pad and some 6060, 36060. Work our way out through our 3 different pads again, and then probably start working on the windshield and do polishes. Then I'm gonna go to lunch, and then we'll come back and do the windshield frame.
Good at, I guess I look here, look there, over where am I scared, where am I at? I gotta make it in this life, whatever makes me happy, know I'm doing things right. Sipping in the summer on a goose and Sprite, or find a nightclub for the end of the night, oh. And we all got dreams.
Alright, so just got back from lunch. I went ahead and polished this out with the black foam pad right before I left, and then wiped it down. Went and ran an errand and grabbed something to eat, and I'm just going to show you what it looks like here. Looking pretty good so far. So that's 8,015 2 3, and then ran over it with a wool pad, and then ran over it with a foam pad, and then hit it with this light black pad, all with this compound, the 306060. And then the next step would be to use even a finer pad, which I think this one might be just a hair finer, or a light blue pad with a swirl mark remover, and hopefully take out any swirls that are in the side of that thing. And then we'll probably wipe it down with a classy or something along those lines to give it just a little bit of protection. And kind of the classy kind of leaves like a small film behind, and it kind of helps create a barrier between dust and then the final polish of the clear. I don't want to wax it or put any kind of like ceramic coating or something on it for at least another 3 months or something. Give that plenty of time to gas off. I don't want to seal anything in there that could possibly be breathing out still while the paint cures. So that's that. And I think the next thing we're going to do is probably going to go ahead and tackle. If you don't do this on the rotisserie, man, you're missing out. Makes it life a little easier. I still got a black pad this side, but I'm going to go ahead and cut. There's a little bit of a sagger here, and I'm going to cut this down and then polish just this edge here. And then, like I say, we'll come back and do this here, but that's the plan. Get that thing polished out, and by then that should be by the end of the day. So we can't get that polished out a little bit and look a little bit smoother.
But what you gonna do for it? How you gonna move for it? What you gonna be? And do you believe you can do anything? But what you gonna do for it? How you gonna move for it? What you gonna be?
Alright, we got that thing all swirl mark removed, compounded, wiped down clean, and then I use a little bit of Classy and some water in a squirt bottle. Like I'll fill this thing up to about here with Classy, and then put like 2 or 3, or with water, and put 2 or 3 ounces of Classy in it. And it makes a nice kind of a detail spray. Kind of wipe off any excess compound or anything like that, rather than just using just water. And I don't know, I think it's all polished out. So that's 1,000, 15, or actually 800, 1,000, 15, 2,000, 3,000 extra cut compound with wool pad, yellow pad, black pad, swirl mark removed with blue pad, and then dusted with some Classy. So looking pretty good. Pretty stoked with this. I hope the guy's okay with it. If not, I know what to tell him. Anyway, kind of wraps it up on the body for today. Tomorrow we're gonna finish kind of scuffing up just a couple spots in here, and then I'm gonna back tape this thing, and hopefully tomorrow afternoon we'll spray a bed liner in it, and tomorrow morning we'll hit the top of this fender right there. It's a little dirty there. We'll kind of get it cleaned up like this, and then hopefully by the end of the day we'll have that fender polished and this thing sitting in bed liner. And then Friday we'll come in, jack it up on the rotisserie real high, roll it over, touch up anything that we need to touch up on the bottom, just in case something. I think we welded these in, so I'll have to kind of knock those down and touch these up with some bed liner and on the bottom side of that wheel well. And then we'll go back over our tape lines, kind of clean up any of our tape lines that we think is funky. And then hopefully Friday afternoon or Saturday, Phil can come get this turd and get it out of here, get it back on the frame. So I'm gonna call the video done here. If you like this type of stuff, give me a like, subscribe, comment below. Remember, you got to create something today, even if it sucks. Peace.